Is it possible that the media is fueling the fire of civil unrest? It's an adaptation to market forces. The more eyes you can drive to a news source, the more advertising you can sell around it. The more emotionally evocative the news headlines are, the more people feel they have to watch it. So the more clickbaity the news is, the more revenue it produces, which can be used to drive growth. Bonus points if you also lay off excess journalists and make the remaining bastards exist on razor-thin wages so that you breed journalists who will sell their souls to write that shit, despite whatever professional ethics say. Edit. A note to those talking about unbiased media. That's a pipe dream. Because everyone selects the facts they think are relevant to tell a story, which inherently involves the bias of the storyteller. Absolutely. I have stopped watching all news stations, talk shows, and anything that has a political bent to it because I can't take the rhetoric anymore. It used to be that situations were reported on in an unbiased fashion. Now, people will embellish, add their own color commentary, and basically corrupt the information they are relaying. I have lost trust in our media. I try to read 5 or 6 articles on the same subject in an attempt to get enough solid information for me to make an informed decision. I can fucking think for myself. Definitely. In some cases. In other cases it's pouring gas into the fire. The media is fueled by profits. The best way to get attention is through emotions. Mainly anger and fear. Create a boogeyman, then talk non-stop about them. It doesn't help that a lot of journalists are just activists in disguise. It's entirely by design. We've rewarded this behavior with increased viewership, donations, and free advertising, so they have no reason to ever stop it. A side effect of the free market is that you would expect the media to prioritize truth and facts, to become the best informational source with the most viewers. But people don't often give money when they're not scared, threatened into action, so sensationalism, opinions, and facts bent to a narrative make the most money. There really isn't a way to fix it either, since we live in a post-truth society and citizens are constantly looking for validation of their beliefs in a community of like-minded people instead of evaluating their own position with facts and mortality. So companies like InfoWars and those with actual extremist ideologies get around regulation by just claiming status as a talk show, and never classify themselves as news or journalists, so they can never be held to any standards. This is by design. Go look at the data behind most of their claims and you'll see they are either falsely framing the story or it was an outright lie. The media is fanning the flames to get paid. The truth doesn't get views, it gets censored. Watch Nightcrawler. Jake Gyllenhaal. If you haven't already. There's a scene where they talk about how to spin a story to best scare the white suburban viewers. It's all spin. It's always been this way to a degree. People aren't interested in reading about a benign debate, a minor disagreement, or an uneventful protest where everyone was perfectly behaved and then went to get a nice cup of tea afterwards. Even though 99.99% of the time, this is the reality of most of these types of situation. Now in every debate is slammed or murdered. There's no middle ground. I think most people with a brain are aware that media on both sides sensationalizes everything. After I learned the real story about the McDonald's lady and the hot coffee lawsuit, I realized that the media does not have any interest in telling the truth. Even Reddit and YouTube are main culprits in what you see and read. Our media is so biased now that I read RT to get the other perspective so I can balance myself out. At least RT usually backs up its claims with video when they report on events in the US. Of course they are. They pull the extremists on both sides to make us think we need to meet this stupid narrative, or that every single person of a specific race is ready for a genocide of the other. They feed that hate and are in fact a massive driving force to making it worse. Great example. During the nationwide riots we had a pretty bad situation in my town. There were Black Panthers from out of state and some locals all heavily armed blocking a street and threatening to burn down a family business. They were opposed by a likewise heavily armed group protecting the business. It looked pretty serious, like there was going to be a shootout. When the cameras turned to cover something new, bigger, two locals from opposing sides met in the middle, literally, and talked it out. They shook hands, hugged each other, and the out-of-towners got the hell out and stopped causing shit. The media initially reported that the family had been racist towards a black customer. What the video showed, that the innocent customer, 20 years old, verbally assaulted a 16-year-old clerk, tried physically assaulting her, then threshed shit around the restaurant, and when she was thrown out claimed a white Karen had called the police on her because she was black. The news never reported her actions in the store and fed the narrative that she was thrown out cause she was black, when in fact she was thrown out for being batshit crazy, assaulting a minor, and trashing the store. None of the crazy afterwards would have happened were it not for the news. The sad part is it detracts from the important stuff. Look, non-whites are pissed. That is undeniable. And unless you believe not being white, on a genetic level, makes you angry, then you know there is something that is making them pissed. Something they are seeing, living, experiencing in this country. When folks start burning, looting, fighting, the ears and mind close. This fighting detracts us from looking at and considering alternate points of view and identifying and changing things that need to change. The problem with freedom of the press is they also have freedom to cause mass panic. Yes. At this point it's too obvious. It is sad. The media has a moral responsibility to be an unbiased voice on what is happening in our cities, country and world. Instead, they have become all about clickbait, headlines they drive ad revenue. In the U.S., it is really bad for what is considered to be a free country, as major news networks are blatantly biased. Fox News, in a legal defense, claimed they were an entertainment network, and MSNBC is right up there with them in a bias on the other side of the coin. It is so bad they other networks who try to be unbiased are labeled as biased if others don't agree with what they say. I wouldn't say it's by design, but as others said, it is a for-profit industry. They react to what people want to read, and strife does get clicks, even if it's legitimate. It's especially true in this day and age, since news is no longer subsidized by classifieds pages and reliant on advertising, which has also gotten a lot more competitive. And of course, they have the analytics to know what people actually watch. From a comment, I need a news source that is only facts, zero opinion. People say that, not you specifically. Their clicks, behavior show that's a lie. Most news sources that try to operate like this are underfunded, if not already out of business. They can't work for free. I would say yes. But the media is hardly the most instigative player in that game. Everywhere from personal opinions up to national politics and pretty much everything in between are all fanning these same exact flames. Don't go putting all your blame eggs in one basket. This is America after all. Media has lost its power to influence people decades ago. We're at the age of the pseudo-media. The Facebook pages and groups that peddle propaganda to the masses. The clickbait sites that spread fake news and the cheap podcasts that fuels fear and hatred. Media was supposed to be a bastion of information. The fourth estate. But now, because of the advancement of technology, it has become easy for just about anyone to become media. The easy access has lowered the standards of what counts as news. It's not just possible, it's literally what's happening. The point of media is not to fuel civil unrest, it is to attract attention to their pieces some more. People will see them and they get more money. Causing civil unrest is a side effect of that. Or rather, as I assume, a strategy to getting more attention. I'm not experienced in actual media, but this is what I usually see. Availability cascade.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. TooAfraidToAsk is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.